one time I tried to sit there and actually print out a copy of one of the omnibus bills, and I went to FedEx and I started printing it, and they're like, like, what are you doing? It's so many pages.
How many reams of paper?
It was like this big. People are absolutely frustrated. The amount of money that gets sent all over the world with no accountability. They'll call it "We Love America" bill, and we have no idea what that means. And in that bill is rainbow tree equity in San Francisco, and gender neutral trash cans in New York City. We're like, what are we doing? People work hard for their money. What are they doing with the money?
And they weren't this massive omnibus of 4,000 pages dropped 16 hours before a vote. So you basically fall in Nancy Pelosi in her sphere of influence, where she says, oh, well, we have to vote on it in order to know what's in it. Well, that's an automatic no vote for me. I mean,
I've been very adamant about no continued resolution, shut it down.
The power of the purse is real. The only thing that Washington, D.C. understands is money. As a Navy veteran, I've been to over 46 countries of the world, I think. There is none like this country, none whatsoever. We have the most freedom. We have the most ability to excel. We have the most exceptional country because people have the ability to reap the rewards of their hard work and not have the government to either take it away or marginalize you and say, you just get what everybody else gets no matter how hard you work or how exceptional you are.
And you're a part of the Appropriations Committee.
I am.
Which is extremely hot topic these days because people are absolutely frustrated by the amount of money that gets sent all over the world with no accountability. There's no transparency. We have no idea where it's going, what it's going for. They'll call it "We Love America" bill, and we have no idea what that means. And it makes it sound really great because how can you not support the "We Love America" bill? And in that bill is rainbow tree equity in San Francisco, and gender neutral trash cans in New York City. We're like, how is that the "Make America, We Love America" bill? What are we doing to kind of give more transparency? Because people work hard for their money. And I think that's the thing that most people care about right now is where is our money being spent? Because we get taxed 100 different ways. They take $1, we're left with 20 cents these days. What are they doing with the money?
Well, I'll tell you, the left really excels at calling a bill something that it is not, like the American Rescue Plan, all right, or the Inflation Reduction Act that actually didn't reduce inflation at all, but actually increased inflation. I mean, they name a bill that which it is not, but that which sounds good, and therefore, oh, I'm for that. Well, little did they know that the Inflation Reduction Act increases inflation, and if it was the Inflation Increase Act, would anyone be for it? No, they wouldn't. So what are we doing to increase transparency? Well, I think we on the Republican side, we want people to be engaged. We want people to see the bills that we've written. That was one of the reasons why back in January of 2023, during the speaker fight, I was one of the 20 that stood strong in order to change the way Congress operated. And part of that was the transparency of making sure that a bill was available for 72 hours. The final copy of the bill, the final language in the bill was available for 72 hours so everybody could read that bill. And then also the bills were focused on single subject. And they weren't this massive omnibus of 4,000 pages dropped 16 hours before a vote where you're never going to be able to read it and really understand it before you have to vote on it. So you basically fall in Nancy Pelosi's, in her sphere of influence where she says, oh, well, we have to vote on it in order to know what's in it. Well, that's an automatic no vote for me. I mean, if I can't read the bill, if I don't know what's in it, if I don't have the time to see what's in it, that tells me that somebody doesn't want me to see what's in it. And therefore it's a no. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. I mean, one time I tried to sit there and actually print out a copy of one of the omnibus bills. And I went to FedEx and I started printing it, and they're like, Like, what are you doing? It's so many pages.
How many reams of paper?
It was like this big. And I was like, there's no way these people are reading this in 12 hours overnight.
Right.
It's impossible.
Right.
How can you vote on this?
Right.
It's for $3.2 trillion.
Right.
And you voted and you have 12 hours to read it. Who's reading it?
Well, I tell you what, I guarantee those who vote yes on it are not reading it. Those of us who vote no on it, we're reading until we get to a point of going, okay, that's definitely a no. It doesn't matter what's in the rest of the bill. It's going to be a no. All right. So at that point, we just know we're not going to vote for something that I can't understand and I can't read.
And last year, the Republican Party ousted Congressman McCarthy because we want to get away from the omnibus bills and we want to get into single issue bills. It didn't actually happen, though. Are we ever going to get there?
Well, that's a great question. And I would love to see us there. In the current Appropriations Committee, Tom Cole is our chairman, and he is committed to 12 separate appropriations. And we in the Appropriations Committee, for the first time in many, many years, we actually voted on 12 individual bills out of committee, and all of them are now available to come to the House floor. 7 of them have been voted on the House floor and approved on the House floor. The remaining 5 have not yet, but we still have 3 weeks of in September to finish that up. However, it's not just the House, it's the Senate. The Senate is not going to. They haven't voted on a single appropriation bill out of the Senate yet. But so what we're going to see prior to September the 30th or on September the 30th probably is a continuing resolution. Now, and the reason you'll probably never hear me say this again, but in this particular situation, a continuing resolution is the right thing to do. And the reason for that is if we do the appropriations the way they are right now, the Senate will gut what the House has done. Okay, the House will not fight for it under the current leadership. And with having the Senate and the White House on the Democrat side, we will end up with probably a Christmas omnibus, which has Democrat-leaning policy and has Democrat spending levels. But if we take a CR and we do a continuing resolution into what I believe is going to be a Trump administration with a Republican Senate and a Republican House, the trifecta of Republicans in control, then we could take that fiscal year 25 appropriation, pass it again in the 119th Congress, and have Republican then policy in it and Republican spending levels in it, and have it actually pass. That's about the only time during the change of an administration from Democrat to Republican where I would vote for a CR that allows us to move the appropriation into when Republicans could control it. Otherwise, what we will have done to the new president, to President Trump, hopefully, is we will have given him Democrat priorities and Democrat spending for the first 8 months of his presidency. And I don't want to do that. I want to give him Republican strength and Republican ideas, Republican spending, because the power of the purse is real. And the only thing that Washington, D.C. understands is money. And the Republicans, we can trim the budget and we can trim these executive agencies that need to be adjusted. But we can only do it with a Republican-signed bill.
Because I've been very adamant about no continued resolution, shut it down. Let it shut down. Because eventually, once you shut it down, at some point, there has to be a reaction. But you're saying this time around as a special instance.
Right.
Because of the election.
Right. Because of the election. And well, really because of the change of the Senate from Democrat to Republican, which I believe is the way it's going to go. If that was not going to be the case, then I would not in any way advocate for a continuing resolution.